Hello guys, today we're going to be working on this front load GE washer. The model number is on the display. Welcome to DIY Repair Now. Read all the warnings, and during this video you will see one or more of these icons to help you do this repair safe. And the complaint that we have with this washer is that it's not draining. The customer said that it's trying to drain, but is nothing happening, and it stays with water in the tub. So she said she drained it, but it was still water here. So put a towel just to test. Be always prepared for water to spill down, like a towel or a bucket. And now we're gonna go ahead and pull the machine to the front to find out in the water hose, the drain hose in the back, to see if we can see if it's at least draining a little bit or nothing at all. So once we reach the drain hose, we're gonna go ahead and try to make it drain again. And we're just gonna go ahead and put any settings, and every time you put any setting, it tries to drain any water that is left over. And you can hear humming, but nothing happens. It's just hums and nothing is draining whatsoever. You can hear that it's keep trying to drain, but no water is coming out at the other side of the drain hose. Now we're gonna go ahead and be prepared. Like I said, you can use a vacuum to catch the water that is going to come out from the tub, or you can put a bucket. This attachment over here lets you put like a bucket underneath, which is pretty cool. This is the first machine that I see that has this kind of how do you call that, like a canal that lets you put the water in a bucket. Now we're gonna go ahead and move this ring from the door booth. This rubber seal booth, and we're gonna go ahead and remove the drawer by pressing that tab, and then we'll release it and come out. And now we're gonna remove 3 screws that goes on this side of the panel. Always disconnect the washer to avoid electric shock. In my case, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it plugged in because the customer already have turned it off at the breaker. So yeah, but always, or either turn it off at the breaker or go ahead and disconnect the washer just to prevent any electrical shocks. Now we're gonna go ahead and remove the screws from this bucket. From this panel that is close to the bucket. It's 3 screws on each side, and remember, this is the only 3 screws on one side and 3 screws on the other, a total of 6 screws. And this is the first time I'm taking apart this model. This is a fairly new, so not a lot of people have worked on this washer. And then the other side, you just have to push it towards right, and it will release it from those tabs right there. You see there's some male to female. There's the female tabs, and there is the 2 male tabs. So you move it to the right, and it will come right out. So there's no screws on the other side. Now we're gonna go ahead and cut this zip tie just to have a little more space to put it on top. This is the way I do it, guys. You can look for those harness and detach them, but I find it a little bit more complicated doing all that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put a zip tie here to try to hold this display panel on the top. That way it doesn't keep falling on me. So just trying to look for a way to it's just gonna stay there. Once you do that, you're gonna go ahead and start removing these filler screws. They are holding this front panel, and you're just gonna leave 1 screw just to hold it until you remove the screws on the bottom. See, these screws are attached metal to metal, but these screws that you see me detaching right now, those 3 are going to a plastic. Those screws are different. The screws there, they are from the metal to metal, are different than the one that goes in the plastic. So just put those screws separately because you don't want to mix them up. I mean, it's no big deal if you mix them up and put the metal where the plastic go or the plastic where the metal, but it will not grab the way it's supposed to. Now I leave this part of the footage because, like I said, this is the first time I'm disassembling this unit, and that flapper you see right there not supposed to be removed. Now over here, what I'm doing right now is trying to disconnect the harness for the door switch. So as you can see in this footage right there, there's like a harness right there. Just press and release. So you will press the little tab right there, and it will release it from the switch. Now this is the last screw, and as you see, there is a plastic attachment right there that I believe is for exhaust, or it has some kind of function right there. You will be able to see it once I take it apart. Now over here, I'm removing the last 3 screws that are in the bottom of the unit, the bottom of the front panel. And once you got the 3 screws released from the bottom, you remove the last one on the top, and just lift up, and it will come right out. Now at this point, I realized that it was another harness in the other side. I believe there's like a sensor or a switch in the other side of the door. Like I said, it's first time me taking this apart, and that's new for me. Now you guys gonna have to forgive me about this, but in this scenario, I was working in a very tight spot, and in most of the footage you won't be able to see what I'm doing because I got my camera on my forehead, but I'm gonna walk you through it and try to explain to you with pictures what I'm doing and the footage that I cannot see. As you see, I put a screwdriver right there. That is to detach the whole drain pump assembly, because since it's not draining, first thing we got to do is check the pump, because we hear the pump humming. So if the pump is humming, that means we're getting power to the pump. So we're gonna go ahead and physically see what is going on to see if there's any cloggage or the actual pump blades are bad or anything like that. So there's 2 screws in the back that are holding this drain pump or drain pump housing, because the drain pump motor, it can be one piece and the housing will be another one. Now we're gonna go ahead and press the clamp and get that drain hose loose. And like I said, I'm gonna leave pretty much every footage that you see. I make a mistake right here, and I'm leaving that right here because I don't want you guys to make that mistake. As you see, I put the drain hose on the side without me checking that, so I'm going towards the pump because once I removed the filter from the front, I was like, I don't think there's anything clogged there, because the filter is supposed to catch any debris, hair, coins, or anything like that. Right now I'm removing the last screw that is holding the pump housing. So like I was saying, I cleaned I saw the filter that it was clean, so I assumed that nothing went through the pump, but that's why we're taking our apart to verify that. Once you remove the last screw, the whole pump housing, it will be loose from the bottom of the washer, so you can get it out. Now I disconnect the harness for the pump. There's a 2-terminal harness, and what I'm doing right now, as you see in this picture, like I told you, won't be able to see what I'm doing, but I can tell you in that picture where those 3 arrows are, I'm removing the 3 screws from the motor. I had a brand new pump. This is an aftermarket pump that I use in many repairs. This is from, I believe it's for LG or a Samsung machine, and that pump I can make it work in any brand, but sometimes a little complicated, so I don't recommend anybody to do DIY to do it. Now we're gonna go ahead and release that that zip tie from the harness. That's the electrical harness for the pump. This is the pump itself, and this is the new pump. Now I'm gonna fast forward this footage because, like I said, I end up not replacing the pump, just and I'm gonna go ahead and let you know why. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put it in slow motion, that way you guys can see when I got the hair out with my needle nose pliers. And I'm gonna go ahead and leave all the footage on this video in case you guys need to replace the motor, or you guys replacing the whole pump with the housing. This video will be able to help you either way, so just keep watching. As you saw right there, it was hair stuck on that drain hose, so that means this pump was still good. So we're gonna go ahead and put the rubber ring back on it, and just put a little bit of water to make it slide in, because if it's too dry it might go to the side and it might start leaking. So I'm putting the pump because it was not the pump, it was just clogged on the drain hose. So that was the whole deal. Now over here I'm just installing the motor back in place. Install the 3 screws that goes on the motor, because like I said, you cannot see it really good in the footage. And I'm putting everything back in place. Right now I'm just trying to put the 2 Phillips screws that are holding the pump housing in place, and I'm using like an angle, 45 angle, as you see right there, with a Phillips attachment, with a Phillips bit, and just tie the screws the way it was. So this repair could be even more simple. Just, you know, detach that. I never removed that drain hose because it's really hard to put it back on, so try not to mess with that. And if you do, just, you know, check it out after you put it back on, because sometimes that starts leaking, because the rubber hose, the rubber they use in that hose is kind of soft. Now we're gonna go ahead and plug it in back again. Like if you didn't see how I detached the harness, you can see right there how I'm attaching it back. Now we're gonna go ahead and put this filter, which this filter is the one failed because it let all that debris and all that hair goes to the other side of the drain line. Now we're gonna go ahead and put this panel back on, but unfortunately my camera turned off right when I was about to put this back in place. So you will be able to see the footage for a little far away, because I realized after I already got it hooked in place. But if you remember how to use disassemble, you remember how to put it back on. Now I put my camera to charge a little far away. That's why you see that I don't have it on my hair, so it's not POV anymore. But I'm trying to walk you through it to put it back everything together. And as you see, the screws are a little different. The thread is different. The one that goes on the metal are different thread, and the one that goes on the plastic is a different thread. Just to keep that in mind, guys. Like I said, it's no big deal if you mix them up, but I would rather you guys to put whatever you remove where it goes. So at this point, we're gonna go ahead and put a rubber boot, because we already put the screws on the top. And remember to plug the harness in both sides. It was one harness on the left, and it was a harness on the other side for those door switches. If you forgot to connect one of those switches, you're gonna have an error code, or you're gonna end up having issues. The washer machine is not gonna work, or it's not gonna work properly. Now to put this rubber boot in place, remember there is like a hook all the way around that the rubber boot has to be in the hook. Once you got all that rubber in the hook, you're gonna go ahead and put the ring where the hook is, and always have somebody to help you with this part, because it can get really aggravating and really complicated. Sometimes what I do, I have somebody to put a finger right in this spot and just hold it right there, and then I do the part on the bottom. Now the trick here is to put the spring in the bottom inside the hook, and then pull it with your needle nose pliers. and that will go in place. I mean, I managed to do it by myself, but in some models, this can be more complicated. Remember, you have to go to the right and then go to the left to put this panel in place the way it's supposed to, and then just install all 6 screws that goes here. Now remember, in this area too, there's 2 screws that goes in plastic, so those screws are longer and it will have a different thread, just to keep that in mind. If this video helped you in any way, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel for more videos, and turn on the bell to receive notifications. Thanks for watching.